Thanks for listening to Good Night Stories. If you enjoyed tonight's tales, don't forget to like and subscribe. Sleep well and good night. The Thing That Knocked After Midnight. The first knock came at 12:17 a.m. Mara was awake when it happened. She had never liked the house at the end of Alder Creek Road. It wasn't abandoned and it wasn't particularly old, but it felt unfinished in some way, as if it had been built around something rather than on top of it. The walls creaked even when there was no wind. The pipes whispered after midnight. The hallway outside her bedroom seemed longer in the dark. The knock was soft. 3 slow taps against the front door. Not frantic, not aggressive, just deliberate. Mara sat up in bed, holding her breath. The digital clock on her nightstand glowed red. 12:17. She waited. Silence returned to the house. No footsteps on the porch, no car engine outside, no voices. She told herself it was wood contracting from the cold. At 12:19, the knock came again. 3 taps, exactly the same spacing. Her stomach tightened. No one visited at this hour. The nearest neighbor lived half a mile down the road. There were no streetlights out here, only trees and darkness. Mara slipped out of bed and crossed to the window. She parted the curtains slightly and peered towards the front yard. The porch light was on. The driveway was empty. The door stood still and undisturbed. She strained to see movement beyond the light's edge, but the night swallowed everything past the steps. Then she noticed something that made her chest tighten. The porch light was swaying slightly, back and forth, as if something had brushed against it. She stepped away from the window. Her phone lay on the nightstand. No signal. There rarely was after midnight. The tower nearby had been unreliable for months. At 12:23, the third knock came. This time it was louder. The sound echoed faintly down the hallway. Mara forced herself to move. She walked out of her bedroom, down the narrow hall, each step slow and measured. The air felt colder outside her room. The floorboards creaked under her weight, loud in the silence. She stopped a few feet from the front door. The wood looked ordinary, solid. The brass handle reflected the faint kitchen light behind her. "Who is it?" she called, her voice thinner than she intended. No response. She leaned closer, listening. For a moment, there was nothing. Then, from the other side of the door, she heard breathing. Slow, wet, close enough that she could hear the subtle rasp of air passing through her throat. Her skin prickled. She stepped back immediately. "Go away," she whispered. The breathing continued. Then something brushed lightly against the door. Not knocking this time, more like fingertips dragging slowly across the surface. A faint scraping sound. Mara's mind raced for explanations. A stray animal, maybe? A deer standing upright against the wood. A branch blown loose. But branches did not breathe. And deer did not knock in sets of 3. The handle moved, just slightly. A soft metallic click as it shifted downward and then returned to place. She knew she had locked it. She always locked it. The house seemed to hold its own breath. Then, very softly, from the other side of the door, she heard her own voice. "Who is it?" Her blood turned cold. It was not distorted, not monstrous. It was perfectly her. The same pitch, the same slight tremor. Silence followed. Mara stumbled backward until her shoulder hit the wall behind her. Her mind tried to reject what she had heard, but before it could settle, the voice came again. "Go away." Exactly as she had said it moments before. A perfect echo. The thing outside the door inhaled sharply, then exhaled. A long, satisfied breath. Mara ran to the kitchen and grabbed the largest knife from the drawer, though she knew it would do little against something she could not understand. She returned to the hallway, staring at the door. The porch light flickered once, then twice, then went out completely. Darkness pressed against the windows. The breathing stopped. For a full minute, there was nothing. Then came the fourth knock. This time it was not 3 taps. It was 1. Heavy. The entire door shuddered under the impact. Mara screamed and backed toward the kitchen. Another blow struck the door. Wood cracked. The frame splintered near the lock. She turned and ran down the hallway, slamming her bedroom door behind her and locking it. Her hands shook violently as she dragged her dresser in front of the door. The house fell silent again. Too silent. She climbed onto the bed and pressed herself into the corner, knife clutched in both hands. Minutes passed. No more knocks, no more breathing, nothing. Her phone buzzed suddenly in her hand, making her gasp. Signal. 1 bar. An incoming call. From her own number. She stared at the screen, unable to move. The call ended. Immediately, a voicemail notification appeared. Her hands trembled as she pressed play. At first, there was only static, then the sound of knocking. 3 taps, a pause. 3 taps. Her own voice came through next, faint and distant. "Who is it?" Then the breathing. Closer now, inside the phone. Then a whisper. Not her voice this time. Something lower, thicker. "It's almost time." The message ended. Mara dropped the phone. A slow creak came from the hallway. Not from the front door. From inside the house. A floorboard shifted just beyond her bedroom. Her eyes locked onto the door. The dresser trembled slightly, not from impact, from pressure. Something leaned against the other side. Then, very gently, 3 taps sounded against her bedroom door. Slow, deliberate, exactly the same as before. Her own voice spoke again from the other side. "Mara." Perfectly calm. "Let me in." Tears streamed down her face as she shook her head violently. "I'm already inside," the voice continued softly. The closet door behind her clicked open. Just a few inches. Cold air brushed against the back of her neck. The tapping on the bedroom door stopped, because whatever had been outside, it no longer needed to pretend. Very slowly from the dark gap of the closet, she heard breathing. Close, wet, familiar. Her phone buzzed one last time beside her on the bed. Another voicemail. She didn't need to listen to know what it contained. The final knock did not come from the door. It came from directly behind her. 3 soft taps against the wall from inside the room. Then silence. And after midnight on Alder Creek Road, no one ever answered a knock again.